Hello and welcome, Tyranny of Al Yahin. Thanks for tuning in. So I just wanted to give you a recap of what happened yesterday. I started streaming, went live, and everything that could have possibly gone wrong did go wrong, but that's okay. We're working out the bugs, we're working out the kinks, and hopefully I can get back to that very soon for y'all. But in the meantime, I'll just stick to plan B. Luckily, that's something that we had ready to go. We had it on the shelf in the event something came up or something happened to where we were unable to stream. And that's essentially to go back and do what I do best, and that's just do the OBS studio recording and then load it up on YouTube so that you guys can check that out. I did want to go over and recap what I did do in the very, very short time that I was on air. I did play a game against a player. You can see it's up on the screen at the ending position, but we got into a really good opening. He kind of played a little inaccurately, and I was able to capitalize on his opening inaccuracies, and I wanted to take you through that so that way we can talk a little bit about the opening and why some of those guideline principles, those what I like to call cookie cutter principles, sometimes are good and advisable, and because this I think would illustrate in that sense how you could do it a little bit better. So let me go back to the starting position. I was wide in this game. It was my first game streaming live, so I had to get warmed up, had to get the kinks out. Currently digging the tunes. We have a state of trance, one of my favorite radio shows to listen to and vibe to. We have Silence, Delirium featuring Sarah McLachlan, one of my favorites. So as we go through the game, you can jam to that. That way you don't have to listen to me all the time. The game started out pretty normally for me. D4, Queen's Pawn, G6. Modern defense. So here so far, nothing too unusual. We have a King's Fianchetto, and I have a solid queenside double the breasted pawns. I'm not against the Kingside Fianchetto. If you follow me, if you know me as a player, and if you get to play me in the future, you know that that's typically a setup that I enjoy to play as well. So whenever I do see it, I do enjoy playing against it. Just kind of see what kind of ideas I can throw at it. This is a pretty standard reply. Another option is knight to c3. Knight to c3 is another option, but in this case, I did take some considerations and decided that e4 would definitely give me a better, be a little more fun, right? If you can see that he hasn't developed any of his pawns. He has no pawn presence in the center. So we do have to worry though when we do the triple abreasted pawns here, the D, C, and E pawns. It's an ideal pawn formation, but it requires support. Pawns they can't support themselves long on their own. He thought pretty quickly on this move, knight f6, pretty standard. Actually, that's not standard. Excuse me. We are at a book now. And we can go over the book after the game. We'll look at that, but knight f6 not a good move, because what it does is it prompts the next move, right? The advance of the e5 pawn, of the king pawn. And so what I've essentially done is that now I've created that that blockade on the d4 and e5 squares, and look where his white bishop is. So it puts the knight in an awkward spot now. Like, where's the knight gonna go? you know. And that's again why we see that knight to c3 probably would have been a better preparatory move, because it would have blocked his outlet to e4. Now e4 is not dangerous in this sense, because you know he would just get chased out, for instance, by maybe like say queen f3, and he gets chased right out of there. And then his position can become precarious. He can go knight to knight to g5, and kind of, you know, it gets, well, he can't go knight to g5 because of my bishop. I apologize. So you know the position gets really precarious for him. So already, you know, 4 moves in, his development is taking a shot here. And again, back to that. Let me just pause the music here for a second, just to kind of stretch this point home. Is that why we develop knights before bishops is kind of one of those cookie cutter sort of principles, but in this case I think it kind of gets to the heart of like, if that knight would have been there first, it would have staved off a potential e4 e5 march. If that knight was there, that's usually the traditional role of that knight, is to keep that e4 or that king pawn at bay, to prevent it from advancing up the board in 2 moves, because that's exactly what it did. It got to it penetrated it's on the black side of the board now, and it's threatening a piece, and now that piece has to move again, and it just moved. Granted, from a tempo standpoint, I just moved my king pawn, but the position that the knight has to go to now is now unfavorable. Sorry, Sarah just started singing and I got distracted. Wanted to sing along. Okay, so knight h5. Now the knight's at the corner of the board. Knight at the corner of the board is not a good idea. Okay, knight to c3, just a simple developing move. Here knight to c3. I'm expecting the pawns to demobilize in the center at some point. You have to be ready as well for your opponent's responses. e6. If you can, I don't know if you can see the times here on the right hand side, but he's moving rather quickly. There is a 10-second incremental, so he's gaining time as he's playing, but he's moving pretty quickly. e6, nothing to worry about. I mean, the queen can maybe develop to the king side, but it's on lock. I mean, as soon as this knight goes to f3, these dark squares are on complete lock. I have my dark square bishop along the c1 h6 diagonal, so there's really not anything. I like d6 better. We'll have to run it with the engine to see how black can potentially save his position, at least his opening, since his knight's on the edge of the board. I'm sure there's a way where he can make it a little bit better. He's not doing too bad. He's not doing too bad. Bishop to e2. Again, a normal developing move. I definitely wanted to see where he was going to go, where he's going. I wanted to put some fire there on the king side. He looks to be preparing to castle king side, so I definitely wanted to mix things up and potentially win a pawn here. I am threatening the winning of a pawn. Of course, that is a good white bishop, so that's also something to be considered. d5, pushing the center, maybe hoping for en passant capture here, but of course that would have just opened up this strong blockade that I had just created. So en passant, not something I would want to pursue here, just because it opens up d5 for that pass through, the masking fire of that bishop to d4, and it can become quite burdensome after maybe like a c5, and maybe after a knight to c6, something of that nature. So I do see again that I could win a pawn by capturing the knight on h5, but I will have this hanging c pawn which he can equalize with, and then my queen will be over here on h5 after the recapture, and then this queen will be bearing down on the d pawn again. So again, and in combination with the bishop, this center is now becoming vulnerable, right? We're now starting to see where it's vulnerable. So I'm going to go ahead and liquidate that pawn, just because there's no pawn presence in the center. He did look like he was counterattacking the center, but my pawn center was there first, and so with that c pawn, I can now trade without any real big worries. I mean, yeah, he gets his bishop activated, but again, I'm already ahead in development. And I guess that brings me to my next point. How do you know that you're ahead in development? I mean, he has 2 pieces developed. I have 2 pieces developed. He had 2 pieces in the center. I have 3 pieces in the center. Now we have 2-1. But how do you know you're ahead in development? One of the ways that I like to determine that is simply by, do those pieces that are developed, are they attacking? What are they attacking? And can you count those pieces, pawns that they are attacking? So you can see that his bishop is attacking the pawn on e5, which is defended, and my bishop is attacking the 9 h5, which is also defended, but then I have the queen recapture. So because I'm attacking more pieces with my pieces, because I'm attacking more, with my pieces, I can theoretically say that I'm ahead in development. So I'm going to go ahead and do just that. I'm going to go ahead and liquidate on the king side. Now I'm opening this up. We kind of did this pretty quickly. And he went on ahead and castled. Interesting. So again, the opening's almost over. And let's look at our position, see what we have. We have a situation where my queen is kind of has a good position. She's not being threatened by anything. She doesn't have to worry about a g6. She doesn't have to worry about anything creeping up on her. At least just yet, my pawns are still in the center. And now I'm getting ready to, shelter my king and get my pieces out. Knight f3. And that knight is going to, as you will see in the game, it's going to g5 to engage in a mating attack. I think I liked f6 better, but we're going to have to check that with the computer. He definitely has to develop, maybe even bishop to e6, but I understand why he did h6. He's worried about knight to g5. But again, because of my bishop and because again we can look at our pieces, what are they attacking, and see that I have an opportunity to win another pawn, and that's exactly what I do. If the bishop captures, then the queen captures, and the knight's coming to g6. That's very, very hard to stop. He's going to have to sacrifice something in order to prevent that checkmate. So we're already in a very, very good position. He finally, actually, if you look at the screen there on the move list, he actually finally took. It took him 48 seconds to find h6, and now it took him 13 seconds to find c5. So now he's definitely on the ropes. And again, c5 not a bad move. This is one of the areas where I felt that he could have probably done some improvement on earlier in the game, but it might be a little too late. He's got a lot of pressure on the king side, and now his king is out in the open. Knight to g5. Now threatening checkmate. Threatening checkmate on h7. He does have some defensive resources, which is good. So I'm sure I played this at some point. But again, I only have a queen and knight, and he was fast enough to get resources over there. And also because my knight has moved to g5 to threaten these attacks, now d4 is a little vulnerable. d4 is very vulnerable. However, that pawn is still kind of stalwart there on d5, so it prevents any immediate counterattacks. He could counterattack queen h5 to kind of put some pressure on my queen side, but I don't think that would come fast enough. This is just too potent on the king side because I have checks. h6, that was pretty quick. h4, and that's just to prevent any sort of attacks. That I like that knight there. That knight will. I like that knight to stay there. It's not being attacked. It's pretty good. And now I'm presenting a problem here with this h rook. With this h rook can now come to h3. As soon as this bishop clears out, I can definitely do that. Queen f8. This is interesting. He's down. I don't know what he's down now. It's hard to tell. Okay, I'm up a piece basically. I'm +3 here. Yeah, I'm up 3 pawns essentially. We have 2 pieces. Yeah, so I'm up 3 pawns. And so he's gonna offer a trade. So I think I'm gonna accept it because, well, yeah, my queen was strong, but at the same time, like, his queen would have. That's his counterplay, right? You have to now we have an advantage. Now what are we going to do? We want to simplify to a winning position. And so if he wants to assist me in simplifying that, he can. But when you're also down, but he's only down 3 pawns. That's something that a queen could possibly easily make up if he just kind of went on a tear. So if he wants to give me his strongest piece or his best opportunity for a counterattack, then I'm going to go ahead and take it. Right, I'm going to take that pawn, take that queen, because now that's one less piece, the strongest piece that can help him in counterattacking. And as you can see, if you can't noticed already, but his queen side is entirely at a standstill. They have not developed bishop, queen, knight, queen, rook. They're all still at home. And so, yeah, in that case, the queen. After his queen moved to f8, now it became the weakest, became the strongest piece on the board. So, go ahead and liquidating it. You know, it's not a problem for me. I think here I might have misplayed something, because he was able to get a little bit of counterplay. Knight takes d5. You know, I'm just going to go ahead and take the pawn. He's not threatening anything at this point, so now it's just a matter of cleaning up, mopping up. But I can't get too comfortable. He could have taken that pawn initially, and that would have created a little bit of problems, maybe. We'll have to look at that when we review the game with the engine. I'll try to go a little bit faster here. We're already at 15 minutes. So if he's not going to take me, I'm going to take him, but I've given him a nice little outpost there. Okay, so now he's developing his pieces. Pieces are coming into the fight, so it is important to try to neutralize them. That bishop is taking all those dark, and my white bishop's gone too. So his bishop has preeminence on those light squares. So it's important that my knights pick up the slack, and by that meaning they had to be coordinated. I castle queenside. I'm going to have to look at that with the engine, because I definitely wanted to keep the pressure on. I want the rooks on the king side, so that and I don't want my king in the way. But at the same time, I kind of see that his pieces are all kind of ganging up on. They can really mobilize towards that queen side pretty quickly. And now f2 is kind of out in the open, so I'm gonna have to keep my eye on that. Okay, 88. That might have been a mistake. F4. Okay, so that solved f2's problem. And again, these pawns can easily form a barrier on these dark squares, and then my knights can roam the board unimpeded. But I do have to find a way to get my rooks involved. Okay, knight to d4. That's not a surprise. It's not a surprise. That is an outpost for him. He's got no pawns to push him out of there. So, but oh, I see this. Yeah, and I almost missed this during the game too. And my rook is there. Oopsie. Yeah. I don't know, I guess that was just an oversight. I almost missed it too, because I'm over here looking at how I can improve the king side. I'm over here trying to coordinate my knights against these two rooks, and I almost missed that during the game. But I found it. b6. Now he's just offering material, which is bad. That's not a good idea. You don't want to offer material. You have two rooks, and you want to definitely try to play for something. So I'm just going to go ahead and attack. This is not really, I guess I didn't think it was that much of a worry. I'm already up 8 points. So I'm not worried about this at all. But again, the knights being able to coordinate themselves is important. So he took the pawn. That just doesn't help me now. I'm setting up a discovery. You taking it and then him taking my rook. No, that's not good. That pawn is kind of out in the open on its own on a black square, so I'm not really concerned with it. I can move my rook here. I'm up in material. I just need to coordinate my pieces. He's going to save it. He's going to save both the rook and the pawn. That's fine. Nothing too bad there, because now he didn't see that he's got discoveries, so he couldn't save both rooks. He moves one rook only to leave the other in pre. So I think my strategy was pretty good. Mobilize my pieces and get some attack here. Now I win the exchange, and I think I just took it. Yeah, win the exchange, and then here's another boom. As soon as my rook got in the fray, it's bad. That's unfortunately that's what happens when your king is out in the open like that. It's going to be subject to all kinds of harassment. Oh man, that must have been bad. Would have hated to be on that side of it. Would have been a hate on the receiving end of that. I would say this position is enviable. I have a great position. I have a passed h-pawn. I was considering just pushing him up. But again, I have a problem with coordination here. Real big problem with coordination. And so at this point, I just made the decision, like, let's go for the win. Let's go for the win. Let's try to win with what we have on the board. Again, he's going really, really fast. Look, I'm at 9 minutes and 45 seconds. He's at 15 minutes and 37 seconds. He's not taking any time to move. He's just kind of going willy-nilly. So I figured that at this point, if he's not demoralized and he's not willing to resign, then I think I can get him pretty quickly. So yeah, he's going to try to push that C file open. But there's just not enough there. Yeah, we moved right into the open. Moved right into the open lane. So we're going to go ahead and capture him, or excuse me, check him. Can't talk today. Okay, check him. Now my rooks have a very commanding spot. I'm trying to get him to go down, but I think he goes up. Yeah, he goes down. That's fine. Oh, he walks right into another discovery. Yeah, with tempo. And it's over now. He's in the forced mating pattern now. A3. Yeah, that. King to C2, baby. King to C2. Traps him, locks him out. And, yeah. Here I guess here he resigned. Yeah, he won by resignation. Yeah, he resigned here, but the next move is rook to a6 checkmate. So that was the inaugural game on my stream. Unfortunately, I think it cut out like it moved 12 or something. I was just having some really big issues during the live stream. Things I'm gonna have to fix now before I go back on. But I definitely want to show you guys that game. I think again, key points to take away: develop nice before bishops. Even though I don't like cookie cutter kind of sort of principles, that's a good one. Nice before bishops. Even though the modern defense in itself isn't bad, we can go over it here in a little while, just to kind of see what black could have done better as far as to make sure that he got a better opening. And then of course, development, right? Understanding that development is the key to tactics. It's the key to winning material. And once we see it, we're going to go and go for it. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we have that follow-up. In this game, I feel like my opponent kind of aided me in a lot of that tactic. In a lot of those tactics, he did make, I think, some critical mistakes early on. But I think I was also able to take advantage of those mistakes early on, and I was just coasting. I felt like I was coasting throughout the whole game. And then once we got past move 14 or 15, whenever I captured, after move 15, queen f8. After that, it was just all downhill. And then once my rook got involved and just started checking and skewering everything, it was no go. It was no go for him. So again, we want to be able to pin, look for those pins, look for those skewers, look for those discovered attacks with check, and then we know we're just deflecting the king to the mating, deflecting the king into a mating net. And so yeah, I thought that was a really instructive game as far as like how to do, how to find strong moves when your opponent gives them to you. So I hope you enjoyed that. Let me get the demo board up here. Excuse me, not the demo board, the analysis board. Wow. Okay, there we go. I like to use Lee Chess for my analysis, just because it has a really good engine. Really good engine. So we're going to turn the engine. Hopefully that does not mess with my buffering or messes with what you see. I'm gonna review the recording before I upload it anyway, but hopefully it doesn't mess it up too bad. So let's go D4. So far so good. We're gonna go through this pretty fast. Yeah. So here at E4, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the engine here because I wanted to go through a little bit of a sideline here. He goes knight F6, right, which just leads to E5. But he could have pursued something else a little differently. He could have pursued something else. Knight to C6. D5. That's book, right? Because again, we have what happened over here on the king side with knight f6, but he just plays it out with this, and it forces, or at least it compelled in this case, it compelled the opening of this file for the bishop. So you see how that could have possibly been a better route for him to take, right? If he's going to develop a knight and get kicked by a pawn, he's like, okay, let me make sure it's the queen knight, let that guy get kicked by a pawn, and yeah, he could get put in a bad spot, but what I get in return is a wide open diagonal for my bishop. And so in that case, I think that might have been kind of a little bit sportier line to pursue. Let me see. There's that knight to d4 square again, and he's got an outpost, and now he's backed up with a bishop. So you see, all the ideas are still there. They all make sense. Okay, and then he pushes the e5 pawn. I can get an en passant here, which might be critical or it might not. It depends on what do you want in the center. Do you want a bishop in the center? Or do you want a pawn in the center? Yeah. We're just going to attack that. Put pressure on it. We gotta do something about that bishop though. Oh man, he's just creating this. Let's see, now he created that wedge. And now the bishop's coming out. Yeah, because the knight can now go to, the other knight can go to e2. But he goes to b5, that's better. That's a better idea. Or he can go I like d2, but b5 is just fine, because now we have two attackers. We have one defender. He's got to do something about that queen e7. That's just a counterattack. Okay, now that I've done that, now I'm going to turn the engine. This is white's a little bit better here. White's just slightly better. But yeah, you see how this position is a little bit, well, it's a heck of a lot better than what we had in the game, right? Where those black squares were just completely jammed up, and the king side was just blown wide open. In this position, what we have with just reasonable development is that his king side is still pretty solid. Now he's not worried about e5. It's a very good. This is equality. This is equal. So just by moving, the wrong knight, got himself into a pickle. F6. Yeah. It also likes knight to c3, but I mean it's just so minor. So minor. Yeah, suggest knight to g8. That makes sense. You have to just abandon the idea and try again. Yeah, because then again, at least he could try to counterattack in the center. Maybe even counterattack with f6. But unfortunately, that's not what he did. Knight h5. Yeah. Oh, g4. There you go. Didn't see that one. Yeah. Yeah, because that's a win of the knight immediately. Okay. Bishop to e2, knight c3, h3. Okay, yeah, g4. Didn't see that. But again, I'm just gonna say that I was streaming and it was lagging, and I was like, "What's going on?" I was definitely distracted during this game. But that's just so minor. But still, g4 better. Oh, see again, these opportunities were just there. I go knight to c3. Still not a bad move. Still not a bad move. The knight's not doing anything over there anyway. Oh, I forgot to see what they suggested. Oh yeah, they're suggesting d6. Yeah, d6 there. You gotta attack that. You can't keep that guy there. That pawn cannot stay on e5. You gotta do something about that. Again, g4 would have done it. Bishop to e2 still not bad. It's still in the top 3. But g4 was definitely better. d6 again. Just, oh, okay, likes d6, yeah. He's attacking that pawn. I mean, blockaded it soon as well. Oh, not good. See, we're not even out of the opening, and you know, black is in such a disadvantageous position, you know, from an evaluation standpoint. And granted, this is a computer, but when you're over the board, you kind of sense it. You're like, I have my pieces are in a better spot. I'm attacking more things. Okay. Again, g4. Ah, that move just continues to plague my position. C takes d5, still not bad. Still in the top moves. It suggested something for him instead. Yeah, no it didn't. No, it didn't. All he can really do is castle, but I don't think he would want to do that. Yeah, I missed g4 again. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times now I've missed g4. I think you have a problem. Do you have a problem with the g-pawn? Still not bad. So we're not up a rook, you know? Yeah, some Armin van Buren here. To the Trance. Classics, Volume 1. It's four box set, and then there's 8 volumes. 8 volumes of 4 CDs. 32 CDs, man. Good stuff. A castle. Bishop d6 is better. And knight f3, that's fine. And everything here is pretty standard. Yeah, he just has to develop here. It's ultimately what it comes down to. He has to develop his queen side, or he has to attack that pawn on e5 with f6. Which he did neither of those. Yeah, bishop h6. There's my rook. Boom. But he didn't capture it here. I think we're going to see is that the c5 was a really big mistake. Yeah, that was a really big mistake. He didn't like my bishop takes g7. He likes taking the pawn. Also likes queenside castle, which I eventually did. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I'm not taking too long. Yeah, no big deal. I had no problem with what I did. Knight g5, yeah, there it goes. It's creeping up. Still worth that piece. I like queenside castle also. Yeah, knight g5 was the best idea. Bishop to f5, interesting. Yeah, bishop to f5. I see, because it defends h7, and the rook doesn't leave its protective stance on the f7 defending. Excuse me, the rook defending f7 doesn't have to move. So bishop to f5. I see now why that was better, because you still defend f7 and you protect h7 with the bishop. So bishop to f5 is the better move here. Okay, queen takes f7. All good. Now I'm up. Oof. Rook and a piece. King h6 is only move. Did I miss a force mate here? No. Okay, likes f4. Yeah, I considered f4 for just a little bit. Just a little bit, though. Yeah, telling me to queen at f8. Interesting. I thought queen f8 was a mistake. You know, like that's the only piece you have to counterattack with. Why do you want to get rid of it? And I'm not forcing a mate directly, other than maybe with tricks in h5. But his queen can just come down and take it. Anyway. His best chance was queen f8. Not too bad. John Michael _6. Not too bad. It takes. Wait, what is it giving it? Giving me? Look to C1. Interesting. Oh, I see. Because I could just fork them. Yeah. Okay. Knight takes D5. Right. I could just because he captured me and I just fork him. Oh my God. Wow. See, sometimes when we get the advantage and we see all these things, we miss some of the more minute sort of details. Yeah, okay. So that's something I can improve on. Here, Queen takes F8. Don't be so quick to simplify. Knight takes D5. Still likes it. Also liked F4. I don't like F4. Yeah. Gotta develop. Knight C6. E6. Interesting. The pawn marches on F4, rook to C1. Okay. Doesn't like D takes C5. That's alright. Yeah. 2-point difference here. Alright. Been streaming for about 30 minutes. There's that bishop to F5. I didn't like it. Yeah, knight takes C5. I saw that, but I figured, you know, you have to give pawns, get pawns, you know. But he missed. Knight takes F5. Likes F4. It's all right. But the queenside castle is in the top 3, so that's good. And I guess sometimes in these sorts of positions, when you have multiple options and you're up so much, you know, it just becomes a matter of not making a gross error. But just sometimes, you know, we just think differently than computers. So I don't expect myself to always find the computer's top move, but what is important is that I have the plan there. I have a reason why I do a certain move. Queenside castle. Not only did it, I knew that I would have to mobilize these kingside pawns and push them to aid in, you know, putting pressure on that king. It has no pawns now on the king side. Just him all by his lonesome. And so I thought that it would be better if both of my rooks were able to support those pawns. Knight takes E5 is what it's recommending for him. That's not what he did. So he also missed opportunities to come back. He really misplayed that queen knight. Really misplayed it. Like C6, but I chose F4. Yeah, knight D4 was just a bad idea. This is not going to be good. Yeah, that's losing. Whew. Yeah, when you're down 10 points, it does not matter. Yeah. Rook to C8, yeah, as opposed to maybe B6, yeah. He ultimately did rook to C8. Not before compromising himself a little bit more. Yeah, it's just really hard to find how he can really turn this around. Knight F6, it's recommending Knight F6 immediately for me. Or excuse me, C6, yeah, just to push it. Knight to E7, okay, commanding the queen king H5. Knight to C, ooh, that's bad. Yeah, that's my jam. Alright. Take C5, he's still losing. Is there a rook to D6? Yeah, baby. Yeah, now you gotta get your king out of the harm's way. You just gotta move it. You gotta move it. He did not do so. G4, there's that move again. That pesky G4. Yeah, so there's probably like a forced sequence here that I definitely missed. D7. Yeah, I mean, up 20, up 10. Yeah. But again, this is like one of the things that I'm trying to improve on. Like I'll see the idea, but I might not see the deeper consequence. Sorry. Wanted to do that. Wanted to pause the music. Because of this point, because I think this is one of the reasons, this is one of the things that I definitely need to improve on as a player, is seeing the perceptible difference between maybe a move that's worth 10 points, right? When you're up 20, it's simple just to push pieces and slog it out. It's quite another to see a force sequence where you can just maintain that advantage, right? Maintain that 20-point advantage, because from rook to c8, I could have maintained a 20-point advantage by going h5 if I could see the idea through there, and that's something I have to work on here. But I chose knight to d7, which is still not a bad move. It's still in the top 3 here. But however, there is a perceptible analysis, like an evaluation, right? There's a perceptible drop in the evaluation by doing that. Yeah, it's the easy move. It's a discovered check. Yeah, or we fork the rook, things like that. But at the same time, like, it wasn't the most accurate, strongest move. And so that's something I definitely noticed as I review my games, right? That's something I do quite a bit of. I review my games. I look for things that I can improve, right? When you win, it's easy just to kind of dust yourself off and move on. But it's also something like, well, there's what can you improve? I'm sure there are things that I messed up, things I did wrong that I can go back and look at. Yeah, my opponent helped me out a lot with his inaccurate play, but at the same time, I also made inaccuracies by not being as precise as I could have been. And just understanding that and putting that, in the back burner. Still not too bad. So rook to c8 was definitely the high point for me out of the entire game before the final sequence here. I don't think it gets any better for him. I do apologize for that. Fix the display. Yeah, rook f6, because he gets... Ooh, that's a double attack. Yeah. It's a fork, excuse me. A rook fork. That's something you don't see every day. Yeah, now we're back up to 20 points. But again, that came with help. I can't take all the credit for this. C4, yeah. H5. So it liked just pushing the pawn to freedom. I, of course, decided not to do that because I have sufficient mating material. That's what I have. There's no need to push that pawn. So at this point, it's just a matter of how do you want to end the game. Do you just want to push that pawn and exchange it for that rook? That takes time. Or do you just want to, and now we see the score going up, or do you just want to finish it, right? I just decided, hey, I have 2 rooks, I have a knight, I have 4 passed pawns. This is something that I can finish off rather quickly. I made force mate in 12 here. I think I did it in 4. Maybe 5. Very cool. Which means probably knight to d7 was, yeah, knight to d7 was a forced mate. Go back. I always like to go back and see where the mating sequence actually began. And it looks like it's already there. We're already there. Yeah. Computer just needs a little while to figure this out. Just gotta let go. And if you let the computer go to a depth of 20 or so, you get a very, very accurate analysis. Very good. At least enough to help you. Yeah. There's a force mate now. So we have a force mate here, so I'm just going to go ahead and play it out. He could have held out for 12 moves, but he could not. And look, there's checkmate. Again, not a bad game. I think that there's some high points. They're all tactical though. That I could have done better to play a little bit more accurately, to get rid of his counterplay, and provide myself a better, more direct route to that victory. But I was again, my opponent again from the opening made some inaccuracies, and I was able to capitalize. And then it kind of all just came down after he started dropping pieces. So I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I just wanted to kind of show you my game. If you were following the stream and didn't get to see it, or probably only saw the first 12 moves before it stopped. Thanks for joining. Thanks for checking it out. Thanks for all the support. Hopefully I get back to fixing those issues so I can stream again. I don't want to have to keep boring you with these OBS recordings. So what I'm gonna do is I'll probably just play some more. I definitely want to play more. I definitely have this, this desire just to play right now. So I definitely want to play some more, and kind of show you those games. So thank you for checking it out. Thanks for checking out my recording here. I want to say stream. Thanks for checking out my stream, but I'm not streaming. I'm recording. So thanks for checking out the recording. Tell me what you think in the comments. Subscribe, obviously. Tyranny of Alyahina. I'm going to be here all the time. I'll be playing chess, hopefully winning. Right, that's the goal. The goal is to win, win, win as much as we can. And then, because chess doesn't get easier as you get better, it actually gets harder. So, take the wins while you can, learn from them while you can, because it gets tough. I've had a really rough 2019 as far as like competition goes. So, this next month, May, coming up, I'm having 15 games, rated games, that is, over the board, rated, nationally rated games that I'm going to be playing in. And, that's what matters. That's what I'm preparing for. And so all of this work that I do online, whether it's rapid, whether it's blitz, whether it's analyzing, whether it's going through games, going through positions, that's what it's all leading to. It's leading to that over-the-board competitive play where I want to be successful. Because we're going for a title. We're going for a master title. Right now I'm 1500 over the board, so I have a long way to go. A lot of work to do, but I do thank you for checking in. Again, Tyranny of Alyahina. Come back for more later. Have a good day.
Tyranny of Alyahina.